Today on the Topping Show, we watch as Brett Cooper rockets to the moon, getting over 1 million views their first couple episodes, and we do a statistical breakdown between her show as well as her former show, The Comics Section, which now gets below 4 million views with the new host, Regan, also sometimes known as Timu Brett Cooper. The Porsche GT Boss confirms the importance of offering a third pedal, aka a manual transmission and a stick shift. A teacher puts a Pride Progress flag as well as other LGBT materials in a classroom, meaning they can lose federal funding under Trump's executive order. And Lay's Potato Chips gets a recall with the highest FDA alert. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part podcast, you have some great news. You have the Porsche GT Boss saying that manuals are still super important, and they will offer the third pedal as long as they can, which is a sigh of relief as so many sports cars acquiesce to going to hybrids and 2 pedals, or shoot, even 1 pedal with autonomous driving or no pedals at all. There are still some of us that appreciate the true interaction, the beauty of downshifting into a corner on the track and just hearing the engine roar. And unfortunately, when it comes to sports cars, there's only a couple of them left, with, it still breaks my heart, the Corvette, which was an American icon for decades, now is simply having 2 pedals, which is such a boring vehicle that even my Honda Civic Si can pass down the track. Granted, I had a little bit more experience than that guy in the car, but it still made me smile ear to ear regardless. Now, specifically going to the article by Brian over at motor1.com, here you can see one of the iconic Porsche 911 GT3s, and they say, quote, keeping the manual is, quote, super important, says Porsche GT Boss, and not purposely trying to butcher this German name, and I'll pronounce, at least pronounce Porsche properly some days, but this is with the Porsche GT Boss Andreas Pruninger, and he says that it's not going away anytime soon, at least with their GT cars, which, again, is exceptional that they're dedicated to that. But for those who aren't Porsche enthusiasts or big gearheads, they're more track-oriented vehicle, but it also means it's also a premium price. So, like, they're not giving us the affirmation I really want, which is to say every Porsche 911, every Cayman will always have 3 pedals, even the entry-level vehicles, which, again, an entry-level Porsche is still 6 figures. I think it's $119,000 before the extortion, the sales tax. So don't get me wrong, it's still, a dream away for a lot of folks, including myself. But the GTs, I thought they start at 163 for the Cayman and 190 for the 911. And again, exceptional German engineering, build quality. It's one of the most reliable sports cars out there. That's why every time you see one of those track events where you could rent a sports car, an exotic car, and take it around the track, you'll notice they never have McLarens there, because those are, while beautifully designed, well, they're terrible reliable. They're just as reliable as an American vehicle average, which is to say, not at all. However, if you talk to people who actually run those programs, the cars they have the least amount of issues with is the Porsches. They're exceptionally reliable for a sports car and just a vehicle in general. Now, specifically, again, this article is credited to Brian Silveresto over at motor1.com, and he says, quote, the manual transmission is a dying breed. There are now just, 29 new cars you can still buy in a stick shift. And he doesn't mention this. However, there's also 1 truck. And it's sad, but there's only 1 truck, but there's 1 left, is a Toyota Tacoma, which you can also get in a fun green color, which I never thought I would want a green car until I saw my Civic Si face to face, and truth be told, it's kind of growing on me. But you still have 1 option for a truck, again, in the United States. Now they say, quote, Porsche sells 2 of its cars, the 718 as well as the 911, while things don't look good for the mid-engine 718 because of the tyranny of the European Union and forcing them to make hybrids and EVs. Well, okay, he didn't say that, I did, but when Porsche was asked, why the hell are you doing this to this beautiful piece of engineering with the Cayman, They said, yes, because the EU is forcing us because of cybersecurity laws so they can control their vehicles. But yeah, and also emissions, all that stuff, which, yeah, the EU is basically trying to destroy Germany and let China win everything. I'm sorry, I said China wrong. China will win it all with the EU and the EVs because you can't beat their mass manufacturing and low cost. Because, again, that's what the EU is doing to Germany, but I partially digress. They say that, quote, at least one manual variant will be for the foreseeable future, and the Porsche GT Boss Andreas is concerned. He says, quote, from my personal point of view, it is always super important to have a manual. Porsche told Motor One at the launch of the 911 GT3 at Valencia, Spain, which, shoot, my family's from Cuba, so it's not Spain, but still I should be able to pronounce some things. Nevertheless, he says, quote, I prefer a manual as a driver's car. He says, I don't mind shifting even on the track, knowing exactly that the PDK is faster, which the PDK is a very fancy German word. There's no way I can pronounce properly, but it is admittedly a marvel of engineering. Is their, what they call their automatic transmission, which, yes, will shift at a blink of an eye and shoot even faster these days. But again, if you want the fastest car in the world, just get an EV and it'll be the fastest car in the world. Go have a fun connection with the vehicle and on the track. That's where, yeah, I would argue, get a stick shift. Now, scrolling down, you can see another angle of that beautiful Porsche 911 GT3. Red is nice, but you know me, I'd love it if they had that in green, which it is kind of Porsche is the best company for customizing your car with all the unlimited options. It is still mind-boggling that my dream Porsche 911, the green paint job on that, is worth, the paint job alone is worth more than my 2018 Honda Civic Si, which is pretty crazy and, truth be told, probably very profitable for the Volkswagen Automotive Group. Now they say, quote, the sentiment comes just 3 weeks after Porsche revealed it had dropped the manual transmission for the 911 Carrera S. Terrible decision, leaving just the GT3 and the manual-only Carrera T as the final stick-shift cars in Porsche's lineup, which Porsche used to be so good and cool back in the day. They used to have a stick-shift V8 SUV. Granted, they only made a couple of them. If you find one in the USA today, I think they're made around 2009, they're going to cost you $50K plus, even at over 120,000 miles on the odometer. It's pretty rare, but talk about, I mean, smiling ear to ear, a V8 stick shift SUV. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And especially rare, you know, after 2008, a lot of those things started to die out. But now the only SUV you can buy in North America with a stick shift being the Ford Bronco. Now they say, quote, the GTT is refreshed for 2025. It's now the only Porsche where the buyer can choose between a manual transmission or the company's PTK pull dual clutch automatic. Buyers are split in the middle in the US, with 46% choosing the stick shift on the normal GT3 and 75% going for their 3 pedals on the wingless touring model. Excellent. Because again, if you want stick shifts to be alive, not only do you need to get political, aka tell the government to stop killing gasoline engines, but you need to send messages directly to the manufacturer. The best way to do that, sure, you can email them, or if you feel so inclined, old school, handwritten note. However, the best metric to send them is sales. Now, granted, buying new cars is really difficult. I've done it once in my life. I love my Honda Civic Si. I mean, about 85,000 miles, nothing but smiles ear to ear. I love that thing. But buying a new car is not an easy feat, especially in the US these days. I know cost goes up. But again, if you want these manufacturers to keep making the stick shift, you have to buy a new stick shift vehicle. Again, even if it's certified pre-owned, they don't really care about that. They probably get a kickback from the dealerships, so they could be basically like a royalty to say it's certified pre-owned. But yeah, manufacturers need to see we want it, and that's why I'm so excited. 75% are stick shift for the wingless touring model. That's awesome. Though, like the kid in me, my car should always have wings. I like that. Even though the one on the Civic Si isn't the biggest, it still makes me smile. Now, he continues saying, quote, I'll get a nicer picture on the screen. You can see the front of the Porsche on the track, as all Porsches should be on the track. It kills me so many of them are just pavement queens. Now, he also says, quote, I think it's always good to have choices, and it's always in my head, even on the 991, bring back the manual transmission, which we did through the 991R. The 991R was more or less the development project of the gearbox that we still have today. But the dual clutch is becoming more efficient each year. Who gives a damn about efficiency? I know some people want to, get those track records. And again, you will cut off a couple seconds off your lap times by going with the PDK. I know that. But again, wouldn't you want to smile more ear to ear? Unless you're a dedicated race, that's your job. But nevertheless, they say, quote, some fear the manual will eventually be killed off due to emissions. Well, that's So I'm fear that because that is true. Many businesses, Volkswagen with I believe it was the Golf, they killed the stick shift on that because it wasn't as fuel efficient and the emissions were higher, and the government, big bad government, told them they couldn't do it. So yeah, it's not an unfounded fear. That's very true. Now, Prutiger, who has been leading Porsche's GT division since 2000, says they think might have some ways around it. He says that the manual is lighter, so it contributes to better consumption and has less emissions, and you have more power at the wheel because the internal resistance of a manual gearbox is substantially lower than on a PDK. He says you don't have to have a power pack that has to produce hydraulic power through the clutch system. You don't have two clutches that run through a wet sump, which is resistance as well. In the real world, the manual car uses less gas and therefore puts out less emissions than PDK. That's a fact. Unfortunately, facts are a lot like oil and water when it comes to politicians and rationality. Most of them don't care. I would argue many of them are just self-serving, left and right, politically speaking. You can see the beautiful interior of the Porsche 911, which has some really exceptional fit and finish. Granted, small anecdotal experience. I've been inside these vehicles. I've been inside a 911 once and drove it for a track, which again, that's only a couple of minutes relatively speaking, as well as the Cayman. Now, he also says, so the manual is seemingly here to stay for the GT3 as a high revving, naturally aspirated flat six. An engine that like this has no place or no other sound in the world. Also has to deal with modern emissions regulations to keep it around. Porsche has to use They have to use 4 catalytic converters in the exhaust, and to keep it making 502 horsepower, engineers had to add new cams, different throttle heads, and a handful of other changes. A worthwhile headache, according to Prutiger, which, thank God, again, that's such BS. You have to put 4 catalytic converters and all this in this car, and yet you just have India and China putting out more pollution than anyone else, and yet we're the ones that get punished for it. It's ridiculous. And he says, quote, the manual is a combination with the high revving 9,000 RPM ICE engine. It's just a big fun factor. I think we are in the entertainment business in the car. It's not a means of transportation. We have to go for smiles. Thank God some of the automotive community actually understands what enthusiasts wants. And this is great. Now, again, it is sad that only a couple trim levels and options, there are only a couple of trim levels and configurations where you can still get the stick shift for the Porsche. But again, as all other major brands have, I think, foolishly acquiesced from an awesome manual transmission, I think they're leaving money on the table, actually, like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati. A lot of those brands just gave up completely on it. I think it's a big mistake. It's why Porsche keeps winning a lot of these enthusiast buyers. But finally, some good news in the automotive community, and yeah, definitely something to aspire for, but geez Louise, I just can't imagine the registration cost alone on these vehicles would cost more than my Honda Civic, which I find abhorrent, which is also why I kind of admire people who go for the Montana LLC route, but not legal advice, and I partially digress. Let me know, would you ever buy a Porsche 911? And if you had all the money in the world, let's say it would even cover gasoline and insurance and storage if you want an extra garage or something. If money was not an option, would you choose a Porsche 911 with a stick shift? Or would you go for the technically faster PDK, also known as their automatic transmission? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Pod podcast, you have Brett Cooper shooting to the moon with her new show, as the comment section, now without Brett Cooper, now with Regan, is cratering pretty bad. I can't help but think the Daily Wire is starting to lose money on this endeavor, as the comment section now is dropped below 4 million subscribers, which again is still a crazy amount of subscribers. Don't get me wrong. That's, as Trump would say, huge and amazing, so many subscribers, millions in fact, statistically speaking, which, yeah, it's still one of the most successful channels historically for the Daily Wire. It even had, prior to Brett leaving, it had a better growth rate than Ben Shapiro, who's also known as a co-founder of the Daily Wire and one of the top talents. He has over 7 million subscribers. But if you look at the growth rate of the Daily Wire, it's been slowed down quite a bit ever since the drama. That also did coincide with a December break where they did upload stuff to their channel consistently, but it wasn't their usual live daily shows. Now, looking at the comment section now with Reagan, which some people do call Timu Brett Cooper, I mean, I didn't realize it would drop this quick. It's now at 3.98 million subscribers, which again, still great, but they haven't gained anything in over a month. They've been bleeding consistently. Now look at the total subscriber chart here prior to her leaving, when Brett Cooper was still there. I mean, shoot, they were getting, what was it, every week, 10 to 20 to 30,000 subscribers. That's great. And then as soon, I mean, you can see right here the chart, and then as soon as Brett leaves, crash. I think the worst week was, the worst week was them losing 150,000 subscribers, which is, pretty bad to say the least. And since Regan took over, they have not had a net positive increase of subscribers. It's only gone down, which is terrible. Not to brag, but last week I did get 3 new subscribers. In all seriousness, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to click that subscribe button and tune into the show. And shoot, give it a thumbs up, or if you hate it, give it a thumbs down, or send it to your enemies. Maybe it could be a good prank. Be like, look at this guy, he barely speaks, he stutters a lot. Maybe I'll get better on that, hopefully. But it might be a good troll or a prank. And who knows, maybe your enemies will be so enamored and impressed with the content, they will then become your friends. At the very least, it would make for a funny story, I would think. Now, again, the worst week for now, the comment section without Brett Cooper, again, negative 150,000 subscribers. And now the estimated earnings, again, this is a ballpark estimation and just YouTube ads. Again, the Daily Wire gets a lot of the revenue from their direct subscription on dailywire.com, which, again, that company's now worth $1 billion valuation. I think they have a yearly revenue of about $200 million through that. So again, if this goes down to 0, it's not the worst thing. However, the real issue is the lack of viewers. Now, it looks like the rate at which they're losing subscribers isn't as bad as it was previous couple December. That they're losing 10,000 to 20,000 subscribers per day. Now, if you look here at the chart, it looks like it's about 10,000 subscribers lost every 2 to 3 days, which again is still bad, but it seems like it is slightly getting better. And with the last 30 days, they did lose 150,000 subscribers. And here you can see the monthly subscriber gains. And geez Louise, looks like, every month they're gaining about 100 to 150,000. Geez Louise, 1 month they got 370,000 new subscribers at the comment section. And then that's a pretty good chart. And then you see, and crash, which is, again, when Brett Cooper left and Regan took over. Again, also known as Timu Brett Cooper. And again, at that revenue point of $500,000, which again is life-changing money for an individual, for a business with over 250, 260 employees, a lot of them full-time, health insurance, benefits. At the end of the day, I don't think this channel is going to be viable much longer. Now, I'd also note that views are down, geez Louise, their views for the comment section are down 70.3% for the last 30 days, which is terrible. And it looks like the past couple of her videos got between, I think, 20 to 30,000. Let's look at her channel real quick.
Hey guys, and thanks for joining me.
Yeah, so she's getting 30,000 to 40,000 views per video. One did get 95,000. But again, for a channel of her size and with a company with that headcount, that's terrible. That's not viable as a business. So we'll see if they inject her channel with a bunch of marketing funds to try to get new subscribers. But yeah, they're still in trouble. Now, the antithesis of that would be Brett Cooper, who on her first preview show got over 1 million views, and on her first episode got over 1.2 million views in the first 24 hours, which is astronomically successful. I mean, she's already up to 1.07 million subscribers. That's impressive to say the least. In the last 30 days, she's got 2.67 million views. That is so successful. It's almost unfathomable. And even before she launched any videos on her channel, she was getting a few thousand subscribers every day. And in the past 30 days, she's gained specifically 513,000 subscribers. Now, her estimated revenue for her channel is 8,000 to 128,000, which, again, very small sample size. She just started. She has literally a couple videos. And I still can't help but think her channel is just going to go to the moon. Specifically, let's look at her YouTube channel really quick. So she has oh wow, it's even more than I thought. So her preview got 2.3 million, and her first episode got 2.2 million views. That's ridiculously successful. That's great. Can't but think Jeremy Boring is probably regretting firing her at the Daily Wire because, and don't get me wrong, there's a huge upfront investment. I mean, Daily Wire spends millions of dollars on many platforms advertising their talent, getting them, acting lessons and improving their skill sets. I still suspect they made a pretty profit on Brett after that, after those investments. But yeah, I think she's going to be doing just fine to say at least on her own. Another annoying thing on YouTube, I don't know why when you subscribe, sometimes it doesn't actually have you getting all the notifications. I just realized I subscribed to her channel, but I didn't have the little bell with the ringing icon, so it wasn't giving me the notifications. So if you go to that, and I've seen that for my channel too, don't forget to click the subscribe option. So it's actually, you get notification when there's new uploads and new content to the channel. So some great news for Brett. She is blowing it out of the water, to say the least. And I suspect she's going to be, even more successful than people thought. And again, with the comment section, with now Regan Conrad or Team of Brett Cooper, I mean, let me know in the comments. Like, it's been nothing but losing subscribers. That rate is decreasing or increasing, whatever the mathematical term is. But yeah, unless they put a bunch of money in terms of marketing and find new subscribers, I don't see it getting better anytime soon. But as always, let me know in the comments because I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. And going over to the political part podcast, you have a teacher putting up Pride, Progress, LGBTQ materials in a classroom, which may mean that the school could lose federal funding under Donald Trump's new executive order. Now, this comes with thanks to Libs of TikTok, and I believe this is reason number 9,758,455,004 reason not to go to public schools with your kids. I know, especially thanks to the government ineptitudes and or corruption of the left and the right causing hyperinflation, it's very hard to have a parent stay home full time to take care of the kids for homeschooling. But geez Louise, for how much they basically brainwash your kids at public schools and also provide no real world, I would say, skill sets. Like, for the love of God, how many people are still paying off student loans because they didn't teach us a proper ROI of which degrees are best? Yeah, don't even get me started on that. But is it really worth going to public schools these days? I don't know. I venture to say they do more harm than good. That being said, I've had some good teachers, mostly bad, but this comes to us again thanks to Libs of TikTok, and she says, quote, Melanie Ramirez, a woke activist, first grade teacher at Pittsburgh USD, is converting her room to LGBTQ and DEI propaganda after Trump issued an executive order to end the radical indoctrination in schools. Her school can now be stripped of its funding for violating Trump's executive order, which some people think, well, maybe it's just a little small flag at her desk or a little personal swag or a weird creepy pin she has in her lapel, which no, it's and she's also wearing jeans apparently. No, it is all out, which again, the real question is, who is the flag manufacturers these days? They are making bank. Every 2 weeks there's another flag design. I can't but think it's like half of China's GDP right after the iPhone these days. But I partially digress. Maybe she's just trolling us and she'll say April Fools. Well, she won't, but let's see what her has to say. Oh, it's terrible music. Perhaps the only good time YouTube will, take the music out, but you'll hear it on the Rumble. So she's hanging and I'm not purposely trying to get the vernacular wrong, but I think it's called the Pride Progress flag. So we had the traditional Pride flag, which was just the rainbow, but now this one has the triangle. And now it also has the triangle, now has also the circle with the yellow, which again, this is the umpteenth design. So she's hanging that flag, and it looks like she's also, bringing a bunch of books. So, gosh, and again, how mentally vacuous are these people to buy these books? Which, yeah, these people are morons and creepy. One of the books is the one that is called Anti-Racist Baby, which is so stupid to insinuate that babies could be racist. So she's also putting books in the classroom. Speak up when I hop about to cut, I promise. And what book is this? So Anti-Racist Baby was one book. And the other one is, what is this called? Jaguars, the Butterflies? I'm not even trying to butcher that name. Speak up when I hop about to... Then what? It's also, what is this? A poster says, we need diverse books. Well, except the Bible, anything conservative. They always say no to those, of course. And then she does a zoom in of a poster board for Black Lives Matter, which I still have an active challenge out there. I'll buy someone a drink if they could show me any example of BLM making a community more safe, increasing jobs for folks, or doing really any good. I mean, the founders were self-proclaimed Marxists who hated the nuclear family, which I would argue the government subsidies and incentive mechanisms for single family mothers or single parent households is one of the biggest reasons why you have so many broken families and such high crime rates in the United States. Prior to those incentive mechanisms, the single mother instances, I mean, it was a fraction of what it is now. And it's led to a lot of bad things in many communities. And yeah, don't forget the founders of BLM also bought themselves mansions while everyone else got nothing in true Marxist fashion. So there's also a BLM poster board. And then, what is this? Bunch of weird, creepy pictures. Yeah. What the heck? Yeah. What is the advantage of going to public school? Keep in mind, you also have record low ACT scores, 37-year low, I believe. But the teachers union say they deserve more money. Yeah, I don't think so. And this went pretty well. I got 6 million views as well as 102,000 likes. Could we make it 103 perhaps? No, but I did like it nevertheless. One of the first popular comments comes from Libercat Media TM, who says, quote, "It would be a shame if everyone were to tag Pittsburgh USD to this post and let them be known this isn't addressed immediately, that we will make a crap ton of noise about it so their blatant violation of Trump's executive order is noticed and they can be held accountable for it," getting 3.4 thousand likes. Though she probably is a tenured teacher, so she can acquiesce pretty much any responsibility or any ramifications of any of her actions. You have Wall Street Maverick saying, quote, "She should be in jail," getting 659 likes, which, yeah, it's kind of creepy. Well, not kind of, it is creepy how they are grooming these kids. You also have Metal Mark saying, quote, "Man, they should just comply, never resist authority." Oh, we did get a contrarian statement. That's rare. Usually, Libs TikTok, the audience is much more, I would say, libertarian and right wing. So Metal Mark is saying, quote, "Man, they should just comply." He says, "Never resist authority, always comply," right? Chea, which is her name, the Libs of TikTok. You also have someone by the name of Pregnant Redhead saying, quote, "Arrest her." There's a picture of, teachers when I was a kid, and you got, nice looking grandmas who are dressed conservatively. And they say, quote, "I hope everyone has a good recess. It's time for math." Then teachers now, they all look, radical leftists with creepy short pink and purple hair. And it says, "Whiteness is a privilege. Now who is ready to hear about my sexuality?" Getting 2.6 thousand likes, which is kind of sad. This isn't like a parody or joke. There are many teachers that are creepy enough to be proudly proclaiming their sexual proclivities in front of the kids and coming out of the closet. Which, again, back in the day, teachers would just, teach what was in the book and not talk about like their home life at all. Their personal life was personal. And now you have teachers crying on the TikTok saying, they feel so good to be able to come out to these kids. It's so creepy. That got, again, 2.6 thousand likes. You also have John saying, quote, "When a teacher turns a classroom into a political propaganda machine, it's not education, it's child abuse." Gained 5,000 likes. John Rocker says, "I hope the school district grows a pair and terminates her." Gained 5.7 thousand likes. I mean, that being said, a lot of these school districts are very much radical leftists, and she's probably a, protected unionized teacher, can't be fired no matter how much damage she causes. Bad Karma has a picture of a gal with a poster board saying, quote, "No one cares what kind of sex you have, just stop telling kids about it." Getting 1.2 thousand likes. Nilo says, quote, "Melanie turning a classroom into a political billboard. That's not education, it's indoctrination. Let's focus on reading, writing, math, science, not woke activism." Getting 2.3 thousand likes. Yep. There's a reason China is beating us in all the test scores. Yeah, because they focus on the materials. Pretty much, I would argue any country probably has higher test scores than us because they actually focus on the materials, not indoctrination. And trying to remove all political bias or anything, like just logically, how does this prep the kids for a better life? Is it teaching them anything? No. And some of these schools have these perverse books like, oh geez, they're so disgusting. They actually show graphical material on how to perform adult acts. I try to keep this moderately family friendly, but yeah, they have full descriptions written and drawn in these books. Yeah, there's a book called "This Is Gay," which is not, they don't mean to be pejorative by that title, but yeah. You have David Sullivan, which I will respect his pronouns, prosecute Fauci. Now he says, quote, "Grooming is a kid," or a little caricature of a kid throwing up a rainbow, and it says, "Leave the kids alone," getting 857 likes. Which, Yeah. We'll see how many people, again, the only silver lining of the pandemic was a lot of parents saw via the Zoom meetings what the schools are really teaching. It's also creepy how a lot of teachers unions do not want to give syllabus, or AKA they don't want the parents knowing what they're teaching there. I think it's kind of telling in and of itself. But yeah, probably the only silver lining was that, yeah, parents saw what was going on, and there's a record number of parents homeschooling right now. So that is exceptional good news. And yeah, I think Trump is going to come in, and I think if he does hear about this, I suspect they will pull the school's funding, or more realistically, the teacher take down the material, and they'll maintain their federal funding. That most, I would say, that's has the highest propensity of happening. But yeah, it's Sandy's back in the classroom, and it is also creepy. A lot of these classrooms have no American flag, but they'll have all those different flags. Some of them, even more boring, will even have a Texas flag, which I would argue every Texas school should have the Texas flag, but that's just me. Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Lay's potato chips getting recalled with the highest FDA alert, which, yeah, not just unhealthy for you, but in this case, ultra not healthy for you. Now, this comes to us thanks to local news outlet K2 ABC, in which specifically Matthew over there writes, the FDA issues class 1 alert for Lay's chips recall in Oregon and Washington, as if you need another reason not to live there. Here you can see the iconic Lay's potato chip bag. Now they say, quote, the Food and Drug Administration has issued a Class 1 alert for the Frito-Lay issued for a recall of Lay's potato chips on Oregon and Washington. The Class 1 alert is the highest risk classification issued by the FDA. They note that Frito-Lay issued a recall due to the possibility of, this is ridiculous, undeclared milk after being alerted through a consumer contact. I don't want to say the U.S. has become soft, but yeah, there might be milk in this product, which, again, I have some friends who are lactose intolerant, but really, this is a recall. But nevertheless, it is. They say anyone who is allergic or sensitive to milk should not consume the product and discard it immediately, says the FDA. They say, quote, those with allergic or severe sensitivity to milk run risk of serious or life-threatening allergic reaction if they consume this recalled product. They note that the concerns are surrounding the limited number of 13-ounce bags of plain Lay's potato chips. The recalled product is in a flexible bag with a UPC number 28400. Again, the number is 28400 or 31041. Again, 31041. Product must also must have a both guaranteed fresh date that reads February 11th, 2025, and one of the following manufacturer codes: 642-2307XX or 646-3307XX. They note that the recalled bags could have been purchased as far back as November 3rd, 2024, according to the FDA. Now, thankfully, silver lining here, no other products by Lay's or Frito-Lay have been affected by this recall thus far, and there's no instance of anyone being sick or, passing away from this. So the silver lining in the situation is, no one passed away, no one got sick from this. So again, they got ahead of the situation. It is a little ridiculous that this is considered, a big deal by the FDA. But again, if you're in a food manufacturing business, you gotta make sure you're complying with everything and, keeping everything on the up and up, so to say. So I gotta say, Lay's potato chips, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click the button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.